Good afternoon, folks, and happy Saturday. Today is going to be day 69 working down here at the ranch. Well, and when I say afternoon, it's absolutely afternoon. It's about 5 o'clock, about actually 5:15. So I had some stuff I needed to do around the house today. By the time I got done, it was pretty hot, and I said I'm going to wait until the afternoon and go on down there when it's a little bit cooler. And we got some shade. So anyway, we're gonna work for a couple hours out here. They did come back out yesterday and put down the gravel out here, so this little project is pretty much done. It is pretty much done, so that's going to be really nice, especially after this kind of hardens up a little bit. I think he's going to end up bringing me a little bit of this mixture, so I can kind of fill in some little pockets like around these trees. And depending on how much he brings me, I may try to start taking some that away and maybe even this away. So he left the dozer down here. Today, folks, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to that little pocket that I opened up and that I was gonna dig dirt out of when I was kind of doing my editing on the video I did. Keep an eye out here for any slithery friends of ours. I found that little place on the other side of that little pocket that I thought I might be able to push through. So I think what I'm going to try to do today is I am going to try to push through that area, see if I can open it up, because I think if my directions are somewhat correct, it would almost put us right over here in this little area right over here. And if that's the case, there's a little spot right here that doesn't look like it would be too bad. So basically what I want to almost try to do is create a trail from here back to that little pocket back there. This way, if I do bring some dirt out of the ground, I can almost bring it straight out into here, because I'd like to kind of start building this little area up. Now I've got a couple areas I need to get built up, there's no doubt about that. But the thing that kind of keeps coming to mind is, if I pull it out from back there, where am I taking it? All the way down the hill? Am I going to try to find a place in the middle? So I figured, well, if I can make a little trail coming out to this area, then maybe I can go ahead and fill in this area so that it's easier to keep on moving back this way through the camp. Because I think at some point in time, I am going to have gravel put down out here. I'm going to get a little bit more of this opened up. Because in reality, folks, this area right here is like the cleanest, most open up area that I have, other than this area that I've been working on. Everything else is going to be a bit of a fight to get it kind of cleaned out, leveled out. I say leveled out, at least a little more smoothed out than the rest of the property. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to spend a couple hours down here. We're going to see what we can get done. If that doesn't seem to really work, then what I may actually do is come down here and try to poke my way through that little spot that I just showed you to see if I can start getting another trail going back towards the back. So let's see what happens. We got a couple hours and then I'm getting out of here, folks. But day 69, here we go. Well, of course, we're looking right into the sun. See a tree hanging out there. We'll get that knocked out of the way. Well, let's see what we can get in here and get done, folks.
I mean, if you look at that gap between the trees there, it's pretty much like where we're supposed to go through that door, right? I mean, I was a little bit nervous because I had no idea what was on the other side, but there were definitely some vines hanging down there in the front that I was pretty sure were going to knock me off the tractor or at least cut the crap out of me as I pushed my way through there. but it seemed to do pretty well until I got to this little spot right here where I fell into a hole. We will talk more about that just a little bit later. But I will say this, I was actually a little bit shocked when I actually popped out, almost exactly where I thought I might pop out at. It took me a couple tries, but I finally got this tree and all these roots that came along with it pushed on up out of there and got about as close to the fire pit as I could with it in the hopes that I could keep it out of my way and we could burn it off too at some point in time.
Well, I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this, but I was right. This little pocket here led into the next little area that we want to get into. One problem I've got back here is this trench right here. It's hard to see with the sun, I can't hardly see it. This trench right here is really big. I mean, my tractor will go through it, but I got to be careful not to be going in there at an angle. But yeah, other than a few trees that need to kind of be cleaned up, this popped me right out here. So that is going to kind of be something I've now got to take into consideration. Get all this out of here, and eventually I'll get this whole thing burned out of here. But I think that if I can kind of come back out and do that again, push this stuff into that pile, then we're going to be able to have us a nice little path that leads out back to here. I'm just going to have to kind of come in here and be a little careful around the again, I don't know, you guys probably saw that big, I mean, look at that. That's all just one little root cluster. Then you got this one right here that was attached to that one tree I popped up out of there. But now what I need to do is see if I can come back in, start opening up these edges just a little bit, get some of this stuff out of here that maybe I can't get rid of with the tractor. But I do think that this can end up being another big opening that kind of becomes a trail at some point in time. Again, once I get dirt, I can kind of start filling in these trenches a little bit. There's a couple right here. Looks like a big truck drove through, straight through there. So I've got a feeling that right there is taking us back to the camp. But yeah, that's pretty good. There are a couple of these, holy cow, these things right here, folks. I had one coming straight across the front of me when I was coming through here. This one, I don't know if it's attached to something I can knock down, but it looks like it's attached to this big tree right here, which I'd have to get my saws off for that one. All right, let's see if we can get another pass in here, get this opened up a little bit more.
Yeah, that was just a little bit too close for comfort, folks. That thorn vine there was about to get me, just like this limb right here is about to get me. I was definitely going through some thick stuff, but it seemed like if I could push it over, that brush mower would just go ahead and drive it into non-existence, let me tell you. That thing is really stout too. The only time I really have problems if I run into a big stump or a big cluster of vines. So again, that's why vines are pretty much my biggest enemies out here. So I decided to see how far I could push this thing. I have this feeling if I stay on this path right here, it's going to lead us to another pocket, and then eventually it's going to lead us to another opening, heading out towards the camp area. Well, here in a second, folks, it's going to look like my tractor's about half sideways. That's because it is absolutely about half sideways. As I was pushing in there a little farther, I started realizing that trench, those tire marks going through there, got really wide. And I was just kind of barely hanging on to the lip there. But seemed like we went ahead and pushed on through. No problem. It was about at this point right here when I realized this little area is going to be a problem. Those two big trenches are right next to each other. As you saw, I dipped sideways there to the right pretty good. It was getting a little dicey, folks. So, of course, I decided I probably better hop off the tractor there and have a little bit of a closer look. Seemed to me like them trenches were going to give me a little bit more problem than I first expected.
All right, I think this is going, I can't tell. So I kind of hit this tree right here, popped up a big chunk right there. See if I can actually get just the trees out of here. It doesn't look like it. And this right here is quite a bit of a mess. Try to get this thing from bouncing around on my head here. So I'm gonna have to probably get rid of this tree right here so I can kind of push this stuff, because this looks like it's all just root beds and dirt. Okay. It's like a heavy little log right there. Thought it was a rock. Okay, anyway, it's a bit of a mess in here, but I need to kind of try to see if I can get this pushed up out of here and this side over here pushed up out of here, just to make this path a little bit wider. But I got to kind of get this cleaned up out of here first. We'll see how that goes. That's right there in that trench.
Yeah, so I think it was after this pass, I decided I was going to have to maybe try to come at this from a different angle. If you look here pretty quick, my ditch kind of, or my tractor, whoop, right there. Just got a little bit spooky right there, folks, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, that ditch right there is giving me some problems.
But I decided since we were already here getting a good start at it, we may as well give her another old college effort here. No matter what, even if the tractor does decide it wants to flip over on its side, we got stuff to do, right? Once I got on past those two ditches, I decided to go ahead and turn on the brush cutter, get this opened up just a little bit more on the side. Then I was able to push out a little bit more of this stuff and get it over here into the burn pile. So it was working out nicely. Well, then I decided I was going to go back to this little area and just see if maybe I could kind of pull it up out of there from this other side. So I kind of did that right there, and I ended up making a little bit more of a mess than I intended on. So then I was going to try to drag it on back out of there, and it still wasn't working very well, folks. I had a heck of a time with this little area right in here, that's for sure. I decided I was going to give it one more go to try to get this little area cleaned up and pushed through, because again, I feel like this direction, and yeah, my tractor's sideways there, folks. I decided that if we can get into this next little area over here, I think we're going to be able to start making ourselves another trail. And I was able to push in there quite a ways, but it was still definitely fighting me a bit. So then I decided to back on out of there, and I was going to try to open up this little pocket over here. It looked like the path was pretty clear. It looked like I was going to be able to push on through there. Just had to kind of get this first little tree up out of the way. And as I started to push my way back in, other than this branch, I ran into one more big problem.
Spider web right there. I don't know if anybody was home, but if he was, he's probably on my head. I figured since the spider was gone, I'd go ahead and keep pushing my way on in here. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it took me a few seconds to realize that thing was like basically strapped across my head and face. I dang near jumped off the tractor because I was convinced that there was a big old garden spider crawling around on me. At least I was hoping it was going to be a garden spider. But anyway, I was about done with this area after that happened. Well, I'm not 100% sure if I made it better or worse, but I'd say it's a good start. Kind of show you a couple things. Sorry, that sun is right in our face right now. I tried to, well, I'm trying to open up some of these little pockets so it's a little bit easier to get turned around in here. I'm gonna have to get back here with my clippers and get some of these thorns and vines out of the way. I drove right into a spider, and I mean like face first. I saw it right at the last second, and I thought it was just a little branch, but no. I don't think anybody was home, but it was all over my head. So, you know, again, here's my biggest problem right here. This trench right here is huge. And so if my tire goes down in there, I kind of I get sideways. And it's another one right here. So there's like two right next to each other. So I was trying to get into here, see if I could kind of push this open a little bit, get a better idea where the trench is going. But yeah, it's going all down through there. So part of the problem with that is I'm gonna need to be basically going straight at it. And even then, goodness, even then it's gonna be a big gap right there. And so that's why I was having trouble getting this stuff pushed up out of here, because as soon as I'd get over there, I'd start hitting this trench, and then I'd be kind of down in this one. But I'll probably have to cut that tree out of here. Other than that, I mean, again, look, this is all, oh my gosh, this is all tied in together right here, folks. So this is what I was trying to push out of here. I'll break it up and take a little at a time if I have to. Okay. So anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. Big mess out here, but I was looking right through here, and I think if I keep on coming, I made a path right there. I think I can open this little spot up too. And really, I'll take and use that to my advantage to kind of start cutting in from the sides here. Because again, this is a big mess right here. I made a little bit of a mess in here, but that's all right. This is going to basically, hopefully all get burned out one day and be a big, nice opening. And eventually when I get some dirt, a good amount of dirt, I'll come in here and start filling in these low spots. It's already got grass growing in some areas. So yeah, that's man, that's a really good start right there. I'm probably gonna pull out of here for a little bit and spend some time somewhere else. I actually got more done in here than I thought I would. I wasn't yep, that ain't coming out of there, is it? This whole thing is just a mess. All right, I'll have to push that with the tractor at some point in time. But I wasn't 100% sure, but I was thinking when I was watching that video, I'm like, man, we're really close to being right back to this big opening. So we found that. That is a plus. Let's kind of move on and see what we're going to do next for a couple hours, or at least an hour. I've been out here about an hour so far. All right, so we're out here by the trees, by the deer stand here. I wanted to do this the other day. I'm gonna see if I can knock those 2 pine trees down right there and then clear this little area out so we got another path going that way. Because eventually I want to start opening this up just a little bit more too. So here we go.
Yeah, pretty much every time I walk back here, I'm like, I need to get them 2 pine trees knocked down. Not exactly sure what happened to the camera here. It seems to have gotten a little bit sideways after the whole spider incident or whatever. But yeah, so it was sideways. But I was able to pop these 2 trees out of there pretty easily. So that was definitely a plus.
Boy, that was still in there, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, this one here had like a real long root just going straight down into the ground. It was a little bit tougher to pop the whole thing completely out of there, but we definitely did eventually get it popped up on out of the ground.
So yeah, we got those popped up out of there. I made a little bit of a mess, but I think I can brush it back over. We'll come from the other side and brush it back over. I'm gonna get these trees out of here, and that'll give us a little bit of room to move around. Here we go. Yep, it's still in the ground a little bit. Yeah, got it. Got it. That's kind of, probably won't be going that way much anyway. Yeah, that one popped right out of there. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna come back in from this side, try to lay that back down, fill in that hole a little bit. Got a bunch of dirt out of here. It's really soft in here. But this isn't really where I want to be bringing dirt from. This is going to kind of eventually be my little hunting area. So here we go.
Yeah, so again, I think I adjusted my hat or something, and then the camera just kind of went off to the side. And seems like sometimes I'm either looking straight up into the air at nothing or it's cocked over to the side. And so I apologize for that, folks. Still haven't quite figured out the whole head camera situation, but we did get this hole filled back in. We got it smoothed out pretty good. And now we're going to try to open it up just a little bit with the old brush hog. Yeah, those trees weren't too happy about me trying to push my way in there and open that up a little bit. Pretty much tried to grab a hold of my tractor and drag it back in there. Slapped me in the face a couple of times, so I decided I better give it a couple more goes before I decided to go ahead and let nature win this time. Those trees just put up a little bit more of a fight than I was wanting to deal with as we got this late into the day.
All right, folks, we're going to do two little walkthroughs here, kind of show you where we're at. But I kind of got to pushing around on this. Here's something else. This guy coming through with that looks like it broke a bunch of that stuff up. Got it at least up out of the ground. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But I kind of came in here and I'm trying to push all this stuff into one big pile as best I can. But look, if you look at this right here, this is a grand example of all this I've been talking about. All that right there is connected. When I pushed whatever tree it was, there's a tree right here, I think. When I pushed that tree, that whole thing flapped over. So that's a mess. I got a little dirt in my bucket, and I'll probably go get a little bit more dirt and fill that back in, just so there's not a big hole there. But I kind of got in here. Part of my problem is I don't have any room here to kind of push this away and open this trail up a little bit. But all this stuff is connected, as you can see. There's a big one right there that was giving me the most trouble. But I'm probably going to get a little dirt, fill this back in a little bit too. But this little area, I'm thinking it's going to clean up nicely. What I may have to do is, once it gets all dead and dried out, just catch it on fire and burn it out of here. I tried to push into there, but boy, everything is tangled up, and I might be able to go in backwards with the brush hog. We'll have to see what happens. But anyway, I wanted to try to go this way today, but it's starting to get dark. I'm already kind of ready to get on down the road. I may take tomorrow off. I really haven't still taken just a day off in quite a while, but this whole area is cleaning up pretty good. Where'd we put our game trail? Does anybody remember? We didn't put it on that tree that we just pushed over, did I? Oh, I know where it's at. It's on this tree right here. Okay, I was like, man, surely I didn't just take my game trail out. But we got a game trail set up here. I need to kind of clean this little area up a little bit so it can be easy to get on through here. I think most of this I can clip with the brush hog. We'll get it cleaned up a little bit. Let's go take a look at our new little trail that we opened up today. Here we go. So there's a good chance that the next time I do a round of gravel and clay, and again, I like to jump in that dozer right there and see if I can knock this big stump out of the ground over here. But what I think I'd like to do is turn this into a road also, And then a little turnaround. Like I said, I'll get this all cleaned up at some point in time too. It's probably the least of my problems right now. But I want to kind of get a road coming into here. I'm going to try to bring in some dirt at some point and kind of try to get us started getting it leveled out a little bit. And then there's a good chance once all this is burned out, I may bring in that clay and rock into this area. That way it's a nice little area that you can get into even when it's wet. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. But so we pushed on through here today. Still got some work to do, but it's definitely it definitely cleaned up a little bit better than I thought it would. Again, there's a couple little tough spots that, again, I need to probably bring some dirt into. I really would like to get some dirt into these two big trenches right here, because that's kind of what's stopping me from getting some more of this opened up. I can probably get it on the edges a little bit, but it's still a little claustrophobic in here. I need to get in here and trim these vines and thorns down so I don't keep running into them. We got one good stick sticking up out of the ground there. Got mosquitoes in my ear. But we kind of opened this up, and again, another good spot to bring in some dirt and kind of level this out so it turns into a nice trail. And the truth is, I think I can push that way too. I started to do it over there and was doing pretty well, and that looks like about the same thing. But it also looks like I might be able to make a path straight through there, start opening this up a little bit. When I get my DR Pro out here, I can get into some of these little smaller areas pretty easily, get some of that knocked out. Here we got another trail cam there. And again, I think we're going to kind of focus on this big loop that we're on right now for the next few weeks. I see some birds, and I just heard something over here. So hopefully it's not a bear. But this brings us back to where we kind of started. Eventually I'm going to get this area cleared out. I mean, there's a lot of it I want to get cleared out. At the same time, I'd like to keep it trails, you know, riding the four-wheeler and stuff like that down. But I think the more of this brush I can get out of here, the easier it'll be just to kind of have the big trees in here, kind of like we did in the front there. But folks, I think I'll probably be down tomorrow. Probably run whatever dirt I've got left, fill in some of these holes, get it a little bit more cleaned up, make it a little more easy to get the tractor in and out of areas. And then we're back to work on Monday. So I'll probably get down here tomorrow at some point, if not someday in the afternoon next week. I appreciate y'all following me along. It's going to be it for day 69, folks. We're about to hit 70 days working out here at the ranch. Hope y'all had a great weekend. We'll catch you next time.